Welcome everyone. Welcome to our Thursday night event. If you guys are here on the live, I'm super excited to have you guys here. It is the guys' turn tonight. I am super excited about teaming up with three other awesome dudes tonight and giving you guys a little bit of insight about what we're up to. If you've been sent this or you've been invited here to be on the live tonight, I want to say a big welcome to you, especially to introduce myself really quickly. My name is Adam Westwick, and I've been involved in this amazing community for the last 7 years. It was May 2014 when I finally decided to have a really good look at this. I actually was introduced to the Juice Plus community 10 years ago. At the time, I was a traditional business owner. I got into owning my own traditional business because I ultimately wanted to own my own life. I wanted to be able to wake up every day and really decide how I did my days. And anyone out there that's owned their own business would probably agree with me, especially in today's world. Owning your own business and owning your own life is not often been able to said in the same sentence. I think after a dozen years of owning my own traditional business, I definitely was at a stage in my life where I was very worn out. I was becoming quite cynical. I was almost becoming a grumpy old man in my mid to late 30s. I really felt like life wasn't going my way. And if you're on here tonight, you're a traditional business owner, I feel for you in many ways. I know it's not easy. I definitely gave it a good crack for many years. And, I think there is no doubt that, traditional business, when it comes to overheads and staff and the hours that we need to put into something like this, it had its challenges. And I think before being a dad, I think owning my own traditional business was probably a good thing to keep myself out of trouble and keep myself focused and working hard. But I think, once I become a father, those challenges, my values were really challenged to want to be a great dad and be there for my kids, but also to be successful financially in my traditional business had its challenges. And I think I can say this in hindsight. If you were here tonight and you're a little skeptical, maybe someone's invited you here, they've sent you this, and you're a little bit skeptical, what is this all about? I want to tell you, I was too. And I know most of the guys that are going to share tonight, we're all pretty skeptical. I think it's natural to be skeptical. So I want to welcome your skepticism. It is okay. I suppose tonight, more than anything, we're going to share some really cool stories. We are going to share a little bit, some facts also. I think guys, I know that there are going to be lots of guys that are checking this out tonight. Guys need it to make sense. I certainly needed this to make sense to me. And I think in hindsight, I can say this. There is no doubt, 7 years on, and I've been able to, call this my full-time gig for the last 6 years. But the world has changed. We live in such a different world today than what our fathers did. But most of us are living the life of yesteryears. We're trading time for money. We're trying to get ahead in a world that has changed so much with old traditional models, with online, social media, word of mouth. This is how most of us come across products and services these days. There is no doubt it's the way of the future. And I'm certainly excited to share this with you guys, to open your mind. And I think when I came here, as skeptical as I was, I came with an open heart and an open mind that there could be a better way. There could be a better way. I know I'm going to hand it over to James to kind of kick us off tonight. He's going to talk about and really stack up traditional business models and this model and why this really makes sense. So Jimmy, I might get you to come off mute, buddy, because I know there's lots and lots of people here. It looks like you might have already done that. And I am going to share the screen with you. Welcome, buddy.
Matt, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Awesome to have you here, buddy. I'm going to get out of the way and let you share away.
Buddy, thank you, and great to be on here tonight. You've said a handful of things there that really hit home with me. It's funny, I've known you since the early days of your journey, and we had so much in common there, I guess, in terms of getting questions answered, taking a good hard look at it, and really saying, is this something that I want to get involved with? Personally for me, it's over 13 years ago now, I was introduced to this opportunity. It was the product first. Of all places, I was living in Las Vegas. I had a pretty fast-paced life. I needed the edge. I was looking for anything health-wise that would give me that. I started taking the product. I never looked back. It's interesting as the years went on. It was actually my wife, Linda, who first saw this as a business opportunity. You know, we had 3 in nappies. It was a pretty stressful time. It was really, I said to her, listen, give yourself anything, honey, to give yourself a distraction. And I let her go at it. When I look back on that, you know, I was working so hard, I probably didn't see it for what it was then. But as I started to see Linda do well and excel and see the business, it really started to open my eyes. I remember actually she rang me, she'd gone to a conference and she rang me all excited on a Saturday night. She let me know she'd won Franchisee of the Year. And I thought, wow, I was impressed. But when she said she won a trip to the US, I was like, okay, all right, game on. This is awesome. I was excited. I got to go to that trip. I paid for myself. I went along. And it was the first really big eye-opener for me on this. Is the first question I had was it legit, right? Was this legitimate? Was this something that I could really sink my teeth into? I remember going to the conference in the US. There must have been 10,000 people there in that room. It was a stage bigger than anything I'd seen. I saw an amazing company. I saw incredibly intelligent corporate and CEO business running that. It was bigger than anything I'd ever seen. It really was so impressive in that regard. So, you know, it was great. I think for me, that legit thing really came. I remember this. It was a night Linda had been doing all right in the business. I was working hard, making money. We were needing to move from where we were renting. We'd been renters and it was being sold. And she had her eye on a property. And I said, you know what, honey? Let's just run the numbers on things. I remember looking and getting her JP income and thinking, wow, this is a good little stay-at-home business model. I like this, good deductions. But it was her income, when I looked at it, that enabled us to service and get a loan. And literally overnight, we went the next day and started looking at properties to buy instead of rent. It was a total game changer. And from then it was like, right, game on with this. This is totally legit. I then started to look at it in terms of, well, is this a business for me? You know, I'd been a traditional business owner in the sense I'd been in manufacturing and distribution. I remember at one point on a product launch, I had 64 pallets of stock in a warehouse and it was all on me to move them. You know, I didn't want to go back to that pressure. I'd moved on from that business. They talk about all those businesses that succeed. I wasn't one of them. I just didn't want to go back to that pressure. So when I looked at this business model and I could see that it was a drop shipping opportunity, that I could literally put customers in touch with the company and they'd take care of all that, that made a lot of sense to me. Literally, it was going to be that simple. I wanted something simple. I could also see the speed of change that you talked about, Adam, with social media, with the connectivity globally that people were having, and this company being in, I think it was over 29 countries at that point. I wanted to be on something that was cutting edge, and that was really, really appealing. So I was starting to get my questions answered. You know, it was probably maybe a little while later. I was working hard, and I was glad and happy to be the provider. I was working, you know, long hours, maybe 50, 60, sometimes more hours a week. And I was dedicated to that. I was dedicated to providing and earning an income and doing all of that. You know, things were in a good place. Linda was doing well with the business, but I had a very, very sobering moment. And I remember I was in sales, I was in corporate sales, and quarterly goals and quarterly targets. I don't know if anyone's ever worked in that sort of role. End of the quarter coming, and I wanted to hit a number, right? And I had a big number on my goals, and I knew I was going to get it. And I messaged, you know, the powers that be and said, hey, I'm on track to hit this. Can I get a little bit of extra cream on the top? And I got crickets. I got nothing back. And I thought, geez, that's odd. You know, well, they're busy, right? We've got sales conference coming. Anyway, you know, it was a day or two later. I found myself in that sales conference. I saw the guys and said, hey, what's the go? You know, how we're looking for end of month. It's only a day or two away, end of quarter. And they're like, oh, you'll hear, you'll find out. You'll hear. And an hour or two later, what I heard was that our commission structure got changed and our bonuses had effectively been cut. And anyone who'd been in sales and really working towards those quarterly targets, that was just hit me like a ton of bricks. All at once, I realised I couldn't get more productivity out of myself. I was 60 hours a week. I was giving it everything. And I realised that I couldn't work any harder but I was actually going to be earning less money. And I had no true control over that. I had no real, leverage point left. I couldn't give anymore. I certainly couldn't keep giving at that level for the next 10 to 20 years on what would probably be less money. So it's a very, very sobering moment. It's interesting at the same time, Linda had set a big goal that she would out-earn me. She saw how hard I was working, and I was missing a lot of family time. I was traveling a lot, missing the magic moments. And with 3 little kids, you want to see all of them. And she just knew that to give me a stable, business and foundation and finances, that would turn my head, and it did. And at about that same time, she started to make some, really serious money with this. She dedicated, 5, 6, 7 years to it. It wasn't overnight. And at that same time, literally, I remember it being like sand through my hand. I just couldn't stop that feeling of, you know what, I want to leave there and go over here. And over here meant Juice Plus. So it turned my head. It was an interesting time. That's now 4 years ago. I got to step away from that. I had more questions to get answered, but I'd seen a company that was incredibly stable, was multi-generational, that had a fast-moving consumer product that was, going to be something that really, people wanted. And I think it was probably the real thing for me there was the power of compounding. I'd been in sales, and you are as good as you sell. I remember jobs where I'd lock my leads, lock the office, lock my leads. It wasn't sharing. And so you're limited, right? You're limited to yourself. With this business model, I saw people linking arms. I saw truly unlimited capped earning potential. I saw a bigger mission and a bigger ship than anything I'd ever been part of. And, I thought, you know what, I can make one action here and potentially get paid on that, for as long as I'm in this business. So, at that point I was in. I will say this, I think any good, smart business has to be wrapped around an amazing product. I've been fortunate enough that I had great experiences over a long time. So, but I think Ant's going to tell us a little bit about the product and what goes on that. So I'll hand over to you, Ant.
Hey, James. So good to be in front of everyone. Yeah, Anthony's my name. I was a chiropractor in the blurry screen. I love being a chiropractor. I got to help people on a big scale, but only as many people as I could see within inside 4 walls. And I think that's a challenge for a lot of health practitioners. They're often looking after people at the expense of their own health, or being with friends or family or traveling. So one thing comes at the expense of the other. So I was attracted very much to the business model, even though I said no to it for 6 years. And I'm almost embarrassed to say that at this point, because what it's created for myself and my family over the last almost 7 years is really pinch yourself stuff. And so when I came into this, I had 3 science degrees, and I definitely had questions about the product. I wasn't going to go out there and pretend something is amazing if it wasn't. So I jumped on a plane, I flew, and I spoke to the researchers. I saw the facilities where this product was being developed. And the further I dug, the better it got. It was one of those things going, oh my gosh, this turns out way better than what I initially thought. The product is simply fruit, vegetables, and berries that are grown to the peak of their ripeness. What do I mean by that? Most of the things you eat on a daily basis are there because they look good on the shelf. They're not there. They're not being sold proportionally to their nutritional value. Whereas the produce of these products, the soils are tested. It's tested from the farm all the way through to the capsule to make sure what you're putting in your body is A-grade, high-octane quality nutrients. So the process in a nutshell, they take the produce, peak of its ripeness. As soon as it's there, they'll pick it and they'll freeze it so all the goodness is locked in. From there, they'll evaporate the moisture at a really low temperature. So you're left with a powder, and everything that fruit or vegetable or berry was, it still is, including all the enzymes intact. That's pretty remarkable. If you put it into just a normal container, every time it's exposed to oxygen, it'll break down, it'll oxidize, and it loses its nutrient value. So they put in a vegan capsule so that you don't have to add any other stuffs, no preservatives, nothing like that. And so what you end up with is this beautiful capsule full of, so you've got 10 fruits, 10 veggies, and 10 berries. When you're putting that into your body, imagine if you were having a juice or two every single day, you already would get a sense of how good that would be for your performance, for your recovery, for your body's ability to do all the good stuff that it already knows how to do. If you're sciencey like I was, there's almost 40 peer-reviewed published studies on this product. And so I'm not going to go into that. If that's an interest for you, reach out to the person who has, invited you to take a closer look, and they'll show you. You can go through it and just be in awe as I was. I love the heart of the company, because then they go ahead and take that powder and mix it with a vegetable pectin. That's just a big word for something that makes it into a chewable form. So I'll crack one open here. Sorry about the audio. But you end up with these chews or these gummies. And what I love is for every adult who's on the product, they can sponsor a child between the ages of 4 and 18 to be on that product for up to 4 years, because their heart is changing the stats of health on this planet. And they're not good. 1 in 2 are dying of heart disease. 1 in 3 are dying of cancer. Like, the numbers aren't good, and they continue to not head in the right direction. So whether you're here out of interest of business and you don't particularly have an interest of health, you would probably agree that you want to do purposeful work. And so when you realize every dollar as a business that ends up in your bank account, it's proportional to the number of people you're helping on their health journey. And I think that's probably one of the most challenging or the biggest gaps for people these days. You might be earning fantastic money, but there's no heart in it. There's no purpose. You're not building relationships. You're not making an impact in people's lives at a really core level. So I love that. The other product that we have, it's a vegan omega. Again, I'm not going to tell you how important omegas are. Most people get that. What I love about all these products, they just make sense. You don't need a degree. You don't need a title to try and convince someone fruit and vegetables are good. We all know they're good. Nana told us, Mum told us, we never get enough. And this is just there to bridge the gap between what we are eating and what we should be. If you're a family man, it's like health insurance for your family, knowing every day, whether it was a good eating day for your family or a bad eating day, every night that your family's head hits the pillow, you can be rest assured their body's got what it needed to do its best work. So with the omega, what I love about it, again, the downside of omegas, the fishy taste, the fact that thousands of dolphins get killed in the process, and all of the, imagine taking a fish and squeezing it so hard oil comes out of it. Like, it's just a weird concept. And so they just bypass the fish. They go straight to what the fish eat, the algae, certain vegetables, and they get those oils. And so again, it's such an ethical, sustainable, driven company. And I think we're all looking for something like that. And then last but not least, there is the complete smoothies. Now, if you're like me, I love working out. It is horrifying if you look into what is in most products. The additions, the fillers, all of the stuff there, where people under the guise of health and fitness, they're putting this stuff in their body. What I love about this, it's just whole foods. It's plant-based, it's non-GMO, it's gluten-free, it's dairy-free, and there's so many ways you can use it. My 13-year-old boy virtually lives on them. They're yummy, and they come in vanilla and chocolate. We don't have chocolate because my wife constantly eats them all or drinks them all. And so you can use them as a brekkie. You can use them on the go. You can chuck them in your workout bag and have as a pre or a post-workout smoothie. So many ways you can use this. The cool thing is there's probably a program that supports you as a customer on this, where there's lots of recipes, lots of ideas on how to use it. So I just want to wrap up my section that I'm so honored to be part of this lineup. If you got to know the impact that this has had, not just on our families, but across the world. I encourage you to reach out to us and have a good chat. You know, there's things that we can't say in public, but if you want to get your questions answered, man, we'll sit knee to knee for hours, because that's what we did. We didn't go into this blindly. And as a business, the business of health, what I love, there's not a single man, woman, or child on this planet that would not benefit from these products, because they're getting more fruit and veg into them every single day. Now, as a consumable, if it does good for them, the vast majority of people who start this continue to be on it. And so that's what I thought about from a business perspective. In 5, 10, 20 years, when I'm kite surfing or with my kids, or we're traveling around Australia, I want to know that work I did well once, I'm still getting paid for many, many months, years, decades down the track. And so I love that it's a consumable, and I love that people across all demographics of the community can take this. So more on the business, I'm going to hand over to Bryan so he can really go through the numbers and bring this to life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anthony. What a great explanation of our amazing products. Welcome, everyone. I have been with this amazing company now for 5 years, but it wasn't my idea to get started. It was my wife's idea to get started. Yes, I will own that. She was looking for more. She was a stay-at-home mom. She wanted to get out of the house. She'd been at home for 8 years, and she was just looking to earn some extra money. Like we had traditional businesses that she didn't work in, but being a stay-at-home mum for 8 years, she'd kind of lost herself in that. Before being a stay-at-home mum, she was a special needs primary school teacher, and before that, she flew for Emirates Airline living in Dubai. So after 8 years with our 4 children at home, she just wanted more. So we looked at starting lots of different businesses. My background is digital marketing. My other businesses are around IT and online businesses. So it made sense to us to actually start an online business. And we looked at different affiliate models. We looked at Amazon accounts. We looked at lots of different things, and nothing was really just making sense to us. And Fiona had been following her friend's journey, Kira's journey, for about 2 years before that. And she had joined Juice Plus 2 years before we looked at it. And we had known them for about 10 years. And we knew they owned health and fitness studios before joining Juice Plus. And we knew life actually turned, like it was a massive pivot when they joined Juice Plus. They were spending more time with their children. They moved to a bigger house near the beach, and their lifestyle had changed. So Fiona was really curious. I kind of found out it was network marketing, and I was really skeptical. But she wasn't. She's like, you're coming over here. We're going to their house. We had questions. We needed to get those questions answered. And I was like, hold on a sec. I'm a busy business owner with like 30 staff. I was telling myself this story that I did not have time for anything else, but I would go there and get questions answered. And I had questions, and we sat down. One of those questions was, is it some sort of scam? Because that's what you hear about, right? That it's some sort of scheme, some sort of scam. And usually from people that hadn't taken the time to actually look at our amazing business model. And what was explained to us, that those things that everyone talks about were actually made illegal in the 70s, and they were completely different, had nothing to do with selling a product. And our business, the Juice Plus business, had been in Australia for around 25 years. And if you know the Australian government, if we were doing something illegal, I'm pretty sure we'd be found out by now. So that was a tick for me, because I didn't want to get busted. I had a reputation in our traditional businesses. We worked for companies like Versace. That was, again, just telling myself a story that was important to me. And so we had questions around that. The second question was that we get asked a lot about is that you need to hunt down your friends and family. And don't get me wrong, we have had a lot of our friends and family join us, but the way we were taught to show them what we're doing. It was just to invite them to an event like this, to come and check out what we're doing. Some of them said yes, and some of them said no. Some said no in the beginning and then circled back later on when the time was right for them to say yes. But we didn't need to hunt them down. And the third thing we were really worried about was that the only way to be successful in network marketing was to know a lot of people. And we weren't social media influencers. I think I had about 30 people following me on Instagram, probably more than my wife. Anyway, that's a debate. And okay, we had some friends on Facebook. But what was shown to us was a system that if we could find people like us that wanted more out of life, we could build this amazing lifestyle, design this life around that. And even if we found 5 people, I'm going to be the guy that gets the whiteboard out. But if we find 5 people that just want more out of life, 5 people that maybe want to earn an extra $300 to $500 a month, maybe 5 people that want to create an additional stream of income, or 5 people that, is just sick and tired of what they're doing right now and they want to switch up their plan A, or 5 people that, like we all know at the moment, that they're living in this such an uncertain world around their jobs because governments are closing things down left, right, and center, and industries are being disrupted by government, stuff that's completely out of their control. If we found 5 people and then we teach those 5 people to find 5 more, quite quickly, I've got 25 people that have joined me. That's a 2, by the way, on the journey. And then those 25 each find another 20. I'm going to work on my 2s. 5 people. We've got 125 people that started with 5. We all know 5 people that want more out of life. A better lifestyle, pay down debt, additional source of income. You think about that right now. We've all know 5 people. And that's the system. We didn't need to know a lot of people. And this isn't overnight to find 5 people that want it as much as you. This takes time. But those 5 people you will find if you stick at it and you're consistent. And if those 125 people then go and find 5 more people, we've got 625 people, and those 625 people each go and find 5 more. We have 3,125 people that started at 5. I've been in the business 5 years now, and I'm sitting somewhere in between there. I didn't know all of these people, but we definitely had 5 people that joined us on the journey. And it's not always the first 5 people. Some people join and their life changes for them. Their priorities change, right? But if you just think about it and take a step away for a second, you will know 5 people, right, that want more out of life. And that was super important to me because we didn't know a lot of people, but we did know 5 people. And yes, we've had more than 5 people join us. But how cool is that? Where this really comes to life is the way that we get paid in this business. The way we get paid selling this amazing product that is in demand right now. Has there ever been a better time to increase your immune system through fruits and vegetables? Like with what's going on right now, a product that's in demand. And the first way that we get paid is retail sales profit. When we put the customer in contact with head office in close to 30 different countries around the world, that head office does the heavy lifting for us. They ship the product directly to the customer. They have warehouses in each of those countries, which means the product is being drop shipped. We literally have customers all over the world that we will potentially never meet, right? Because we have team all over the world. What I absolutely love about the retail sales profit commission that we get paid is that we can earn up to 25% commission in Australia and New Zealand on the product that we sell, right? At like the 3rd kind of level, we've got enough volume going through our business. 25% commission, not just an introduction, like an introductory commission, but a trailing commission on the product. Imagine for a second, The company's been in Australia for more than 25 years. I know people that have been on the product in Australia for close to 25 years. Imagine for a second, that's your customer that you've introduced to the company and being paid 25% trailing commission for the life of that customer. That's unheard of. In my corporate world, I may pass out a higher commission to introduce the customer to the company, but that ongoing commission is a lot lower. Pretty unique to this business model, to network marketing, especially the Juice Plus company. The second way that we get paid is bonuses. The bonuses in Australia and New Zealand range from $100 through to $40,000. It's kind of the now money in this business. There's unwritten rules in different teams that, you know, when you earn a bonus, you spend it on yourself, right? And those bonuses add up. There's a lot of money to be paid out in bonuses. But the third way that we get paid, which is where I think is the real treasure in this business, you kind of like draw it as a commission, but it's technically called, or a percentage, it's technically called performance bonus. I like to think of it as caravanning money, because one of the things that we've been able to do because of this Juice Plus business is design our life. So over school holidays, we choose to spend that time in our caravan. Yes, we are still working, but we don't have to report to anyone. We don't have to show up to offices. We can travel Australia and work on the road. Still be paid in this business. It's what's called performance bonus. It's the reoccurring income in our business. It's the money that drops into our bank account each month. It's the money that we get to plan our life around. Just like James said when he was able to buy that house, this is what you get to take to the bank when you've got that certain amount of money coming into your business, right? That percentage, this is the cool thing. This percentage is paid on top of your team's performance because it's a bonus for supporting them. It's a bonus for being there with them. It's a bonus for mentoring them. I love what Warren Buffett says. He says, unless you find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. That's what this is. That's this part of our compensation plan, right? Because literally we have customers in team all over the world. And while I'm sleeping, they're awake, taking Juice Plus, ordering more juice, and we're being paid in this business while we sleep. One of the biggest things for us in this business has been the life that we've been able to create. We fell in love with the franchise model, which is what this is. Before joining Juice Plus, we looked at a traditional franchise, coffee shop franchise. It was $350,000 to get started. You literally had to work 60 hours a week in the business, but their projection was it would take about 5 years just to pay down the initial investment. We were able to create more of that return within like 8 to 12 months in this business for like $150 investment to get started plus GST, right? Like this business, when you play full out, when you really want to achieve things, anything is possible. And I've absolutely fallen in love with the Juice Plus company. It's changed our lives and the thousands of people that we've been able to meet along this journey. So I'm going to hand it back to Adam, and you can close things up.
Thanks, Bryza. Awesome to have you on, and all the other amazing guys. Super inspirational tonight. I appreciate you guys jumping on and sharing your story. And just to kind of wrap a bow on tonight, to kind of give you guys even just my journey. You know, I was introduced to this 10 years ago. I said no for 3 years. I always thought to be successful at this is, like Bryan said, you have to annoy the shit out of all your friends. And I don't know about you guys, but that's not me. I want to be successful. I want to be financially successful, but if I have to be annoying to my mates, it was never really for me. The thing that I got really quickly, that this is about helping people. It's about helping people with two really important areas of their life, their health and their financial certainty, security, and future. And I was excited about that. I think when I saw this, yes, I had some questions, but when I finally gave this a go, I really launched into it. I treated it like a business right from the beginning. And I'm proud to say, and although my story is not typical, not everyone here has done that, I was able to successfully walk away from my out-earn my traditional business within 12 months and do this full time. Not that it is a full-time gig. You know, this is for me personally, it's a 20 to 25 hour week business that I get to work in my time around my family, around my kids, around my lifestyle. And I'm so proud of what this can be for so many people. I'm really passionate about this, just like other guys. And I think for me, you know, when I was here on this event 7 years ago, it was nothing like this. I was in somebody's lounge room, but I think I asked myself a couple of questions. The first question was, what if? What if this thing could actually work? What if I could do this thing? What would it mean to me if I could create an income around my family and really create the lifestyle that I've always desired? And I think, you know, if nothing changes, nothing changes. I said to myself, you know, if it's not this, then what? What truly can give me the life of my dreams? And I decided to give this a go. I really, again, just surrendered and got my questions answered and just followed an amazing system, and you know, I was fortunate enough to create what this is. I think from my experience over the last 7 years, there's often three types of people that are here tonight. You might be someone here tonight that you are like, you know what, maybe I just need to do something about my health. Maybe I'm here to do something about my health, and I would encourage you to reach out to the person tonight. And why not just get on the products? The worst thing that could happen after the last half an hour is just take your health to the next level with your health. I know I love the products. I wouldn't live a day without them, and I'd encourage you to do the same. Maybe you're someone that's looking for an additional income, you know, something where you've got a great plan A, but you like the idea of a plan B, a backup plan. There's never been a better time in this world where a backup plan is so important. And maybe that is you, a way to bolt on an additional stream of income. I think we all need to have multiple streams of income. Or you might be like me, you're that person that's here, that you're ready for change, you want to find a better vehicle, that you understand that you're ready to move with the times, and you really just want to be follow a system and plug in. Well, whoever you are, I want to encourage you to do one thing. Take the time to get your questions answered. I know I had loads, I was still skeptical, and I am so grateful, especially after what's happened over the last year and a half. I'm so grateful that I didn't ignore this, that I decided, you know what, there's something here that resonates. Why not have a look? So again, I want to say a big thank you to the boys getting on tonight. It's nice to team up with a whole bunch of six-figure income earners and them sharing their success. And I want to invite you guys to come have a closer look. It's an amazing community, amazing like-minded people, and we can't wait to see you guys on the other side. Until we see you next time, peace out. Talk soon. Bye for now.